Talofa lava ma lo lava le soifua ma langi mama. Va talofa atu ma ofa alofa atu ia te o tau uma. Welcome, warm Pacific greetings to the Breaking Waves podcast. Thank you so much to all of our viewers who are subscribed and liking and watching our videos. We appreciate you all. Without you guys, we won't be able to do the work that we do. So big shout out to you all. Also another shout out to all of our sponsors. Thank you for supporting Bluwave, for making this episode possible. We appreciate your support, and we hope you have all been doing well in business this week. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. He is the chair of the Manurewa Local Board. His name is Matt Winiata, and he's here to join us and talk about some awesome things in local politics. Talofa lava and welcome to the Breaking Waves podcast, Matt. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Kia ora talofa. Very well, thank you, Hana.
Awesome. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Where do you start? So, Matthew Tutirianga Grayson Winiata, son of Ranganui David, grandson of Maharai Winiata. Very proud Winiata sitting here. I guess at the end of the day, I'm still just that young fella with stars in his eyes and hopes for the future that grew up in Manurewa, where I've lived for the last 46 and a half years of my life. I can't see myself moving anytime soon. Was very sporty as a youth, very musical. Still retain the sporting talent in my mind. I wish I could, but the musical talent I'll play to whoever will listen, mostly just myself. But I've worked in and around the community of Manurewa for a significant amount of time now, and my kids grew up there. And yeah, no, it's a community I love very dearly.
Very nice. And what made you want to get into local politics?
I guess it's something that you fall into rather than find yourself. I never imagined that politics was going to be in my future. It was more or less just a conversation with Councillor Daniel Newman, who saw some promise and thought, there's potentially some good things that we could do in the community together. And I can't disagree with him after my first term. I appreciate the belief that he saw in me to lead the company and be part of leading the community out post-COVID into a new era, and with the generations of rangatahi that we have. And it's been quite a journey, an extremely fulfilling journey.
Nice. And you've worked in Manurewa Local Board for quite a bit of time now. It's a very diverse community. What makes Manurewa unique?
The pride. Manurewa is a very proud community. It's a very unique community in terms of the scales of deprivation and wealth that we have. There aren't many communities that see the same scale in terms of volume, the amount of deprivation that we have, amount of poverty, but the amount of those that are well-to-do and living lives that they're quite comfortable with. It's very interesting to balance, but the everything that holds that community together, the culture, the livelihoods, the lifestyle, it all connects in a way that's very unique. And South Auckland is very much like this. The pride that comes along with that 267, that rewa hard notion. We've had data. There's research and data into the community spirit, and it's something that's very unique within Manurewa that a lot of people are surprised. It's like life in times are tough. Life and times are hard in Manurewa, but the community spirit is thriving, and which is really exciting for me. So a unique part of the community is the community spirit.
And for those who are watching, a lot of youth will be watching, who they may have this mindset where they don't even know what local board is, or they've never been engaged with local board members. Can you please break down with that to me, like if I'm 5 years old, what local board does?
So the easiest way for me to describe it, and apologies if the kids still don't understand it, you have central government makes rules and legislation for the country. The governing body at Auckland Council, where the councillors are, they make funding decisions for the region of Auckland for the local boards. And the local boards are the ones that are responsible for all of your community assets. Your sports fields, your roads, reserves, making sure the rubbish is picked up on time, the trees are cut, the streets are swept. Essentially, and from a governance aspect, everything that you get to enjoy from community events with community partners and local charities who do activations in our playgrounds and play spaces. That's what the local board's there to deliver on. And the funding that we decide essentially directs the community towards whether we fund sports fields or events or more maintenance around reserves and facilities. So it's quite a juggle, but why would that be important for any of the youth out there to worry about? Essentially, we have the best opportunity on the local board to actively ensure that the community is clean and safe. We should have relationships with the police, which this local board does. We should have relationships with council to ensure that we have the best and cleanest parks and facilities that we do. We might not have the flashiest buildings, but we have a lot of grassy areas. We want to make sure that they're the best they can be for the community.
I love that. So in your work, what has been the most challenging part to navigate?
Funding, it's quite demoralising and depressing. The first 2 years were definitely. When you're looking at the amount of funding that we have to put into the community against all of the struggles that we have and what other boards have, they might have similar problems, but the budgets that they have to work with are significantly higher. Now, where that might be a position for Manurewa for the last 2 years, when you see a downward trend on funding that the local board has to be available, it really restricts somebody coming in with a vision to say, we want better, but how do you get that? When you've been disadvantaged for so long from a funding point of view, it's really hard to dig your way out of. So the biggest challenge has been to ensure that ratepayers' money is spent responsibly, that we move away from things that would be nice to have just to try and focus on a lot of the basics, which retaining rubbish bins just so that rubbish can be put in there, because the council's plan to remove a third of the rubbish bins that we had across Auckland to cut on costs. It has an effect, and South Auckland or Manurewa experiences the worst of those effects. So a lot of the challenges have been things that we just don't have the money to fix.
That would be, I've also heard, in the community, funding's always a problem for a lot of us who have good ideas or who want to get into charity work or host events for their own community. So I'm glad that you've expressed that is also your challenge as well. What are the biggest priorities you and the board have right now?
I would say the biggest priorities are how we can better serve the community in terms of the assets that we have. With the latest work program that we've put together, we have a very huge drive on the welfare of rangatahi, and specifically Pacifica and Māori in the community. Through advocacy, we've been a big winner in the fairer funding scenario, which is now seeing Manurewa brought up to or we'll see it over the next 3 years, brought up to a level playing field in terms of funding that hasn't come our way. So how do you spend that money responsibly? We're looking at making our sports fields some of the best across the region. Imagine your local club, you turn up and the grass is as good as Mount Smart. I love that concept and idea, and that's going to be delivered. Ensuring that the community groups, the activities, the activations that are happening are well funded, that's all happening. Ensuring that the focus on illegal dumping is going to be taken care of, which there is, so the community is going to be a lot cleaner. There's data around having a cleaner community. The community becomes a lot prouder and wants to stay and work closer to home. Then there's also the roaming dog issue that we have. We're investing back into animal management to help them as a partner. So there's a lot of challenges that we're actually driving forward, but it's all a focus on making sure the youth have activities and that they're safe in the community.
What has been your favourite project that you worked on in your time at Local Board?
There has been an abundance of them. I think from a visual point of view, my favourite is the FIFA Women's World Cup Unity pitch that you'll find at Netball Manurewa. It's a futsal pitch. And that story started with a phone call that was, Matt, would you like the FIFA World Cup pitch? Yes, you've got 24 hours to find the funding and make a decision. And this is to a local board that has no money. Nobody was interested in seeing this come to Manurewa. FIFA were almost pulling out from that conversation. The fact that it happened is something I'm hugely proud of. And it really shifted the direction on my scope for we deserve awesome things too. And that's been a large driver. Following on from that, the best piece of infrastructure change that we'll see come through has been the improvement in sports fields that we'll see at Mountford Park and War Memorial Park. $6 million over the next 3 years is going in to ensure that we've got some of the best playing surfaces in the region. And that's reflective of what we're attracting, which is going to be in 2027, the World Indigenous Touch Cup.
Love that. That's so cool.
It's going to be huge. Manurewa doesn't get international tournaments on this scale, and I'm hoping that the flow-on effect is that the Touch World Cup, as that comes around, it's being scoped at the moment, that is at Mountford Park in 2028, the following year. Those effects will be huge for the community, but in terms of seeing things come through, actually, the Unity pitch at Manurewa Netball and the international tournaments that we have is something I'm incredibly proud of.
And there's been a lot of talk. Because at Bluwave we do a lot of sports events and there's a lot of questions, people asking when will we have an awesome stadium out in South Auckland. I mean, we have one in Papakura, right? But it still wasn't enough to like to host everyone. You could tell it was really packed, some of the screens weren't working, and it was okay, we were there to support the Moana Pasifika. Any big stadiums in Manurewa? Or is there even capacity to hold it in South Auckland? That's another question.
No, in terms of a stadium, I guess from a local board point of view, without being too stingy, I'm very protective over the open spaces and reserves that we have. We have to be very selective in how we utilise those spaces. Land is a very particular thing. Once you lose it, it's very hard to get it back, and generally you have to pay through the nose to get it back once you've lost it. And council doesn't have a habit of buying back land that's been given away or built on. Council, the data through parks already speaks to the growth of the community has outpaced the capacity that we have to conduct events. In terms of a stadium, I think the best you could get for that is looking at how we utilise the spaces on a temporary basis. If we look at Mountford Park, where we're looking to hold the Indigenous World Cup, it's got a grandstand on one side. How do you enclose that in? It's quite easy. You have temporary bleachers and temporary seating so that you can enclose in those main pitches. The cost is there, it is temporary, but being able to build the atmosphere is something that's important. You can take all of that seating away so that you can enjoy the spaces around it, but you have to think a little bit outside the box when it comes to Manurewa because we don't have very specific spaces to be able to build one. But we can, and we are discussing in real time opportunities to host very large teams to come our way and inspire the community.
Awesome. That's awesome. So key details. When does voting start? How do people vote for you? What do they tick on their ballots when they get it, receive it in their mail? Tell us about that.
Okay, so what you can expect is if you are registered to vote, you'll receive mail around September 8 or 9. It's going to come with a booklet of details of all of the candidates, and then you'll have the following papers which will have names and the team that they are with. So mine would say in the running for councillor for Manurewa-Papakura Ward for Auckland Council, Matt Winiata, action team. And none of that would be in colour, so you don't have the opportunity to associate colours with the words in front. But my advice would be to check every action candidate, both on the local board, the Wiri Licensing Trust, and Councillor Daniel Newman and myself are councillors of Manurewa-Papakura. It is a postal ballot, so you will have to post that in, but you can drop that into your local library or countdown.
Love that. And just going to wrap this interview up. So this is the camera here. Please tell us why people should vote for you.
The answer is simple. I've done a lot for my community, basically off the smell of an oily rag, because it's a community that I truly believe in. What I'd like to bring to the table at the governing body is more significant investment back out south. There's a discussion around a high performance institute based in South Auckland. That's something that I'd love to drive and see regional funding attached to government funding with that partnership to bring through. Common sense, going back to basics on how your rates are spent, and more responsible approaches, ensuring that the weekly rubbish collection stays weekly. It's failing in other parts of the world, so we need to retain that and ensure that that stays. But that comes down to a common sense approach for us. For me to do good at the governing body table and in council, I do need your support. And I would love to have that, and I will serve you well, and that's a promise.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Matt, for your time here at Breaking Waves. We wish you all the best. Everyone, vote for Matt Winiata, Action Team, Manurewa Local Board. Thank you for tuning in today, Breaking Waves.